Welcome to the Business Podcast Show, a podcast for modern day entrepreneurs. From how to find your niche product or idea to generating over 7 figures in sales, this is where you'll learn how to start your own online business and scale it. Please welcome your hosts, Ben and Mike.
Welcome to the Business Podcast Show.
Episode 2, man.
Episode
How you doing?
2, we're here now.
How do you feel after episode 1?
Feeling good. I mean, we got, we're getting squared away with the video, so hopefully you guys will see episode 2 actually hop out in video. Check us out.
Right.
Little slight technical difficulties with the first one, but
just a couple.
We're excited about episode 2.
Yep.
So what will we be talking about today?
So today we really wanted to touch on a lot of what we're currently doing, like what our day-to-day kind of looks like for us. Being that this is the Business Podcast Show, we obviously we want to highlight a lot of the things that we're doing actively right now. I think on episode 1, we went pretty thorough into our backgrounds and mostly kind of about where we're from, space-wise, what we were doing. But kind of like, coming up from there, I want to really discuss like what's today look like. You know what I mean?
For sure.
For you, for me, and what we're doing now actively as far as consulting and whatnot and stuff like that. So I think that's really important for people to know about. So I guess, I don't know if you want to kind of give a little synopsis on like, maybe what's your day to day right now look like as far as the business.
Yeah.
Businesses.
So should we start off at just like our day to day with our e-commerce and recruiting?
Yeah.
So basically my day to day still is kind of doing the marketing aspect of it, still being able to reach out. So still getting strong sales on a monthly basis. Mm-hmm. But I guess right now it's figuring out how I can expand in terms of like my Facebook ads, different like variations that I have to reach out to get my customers. Mm-hmm. So with Facebook ads, it's not as simple as just like, hey, putting out your product.
Right.
And a lot of people see a lot of mistakes there.
Right.
So with my Facebook ads and how I've seen success is I have to put out, 2 to 3 content just talking about my product, talking about like, what's great about it, what's the unique selling proposition of it. And then based on like people seeing, watching most of the video, like you can retarget people who've only watched like 75% or 100% of the video. You retarget them there. You can go and you hit them with like a discount or a deal. And then you just have to take them like, again, like when we're going to be talking about this soon, is like that funnel.
Right.
There's the free content. You bring people in for who's interested, and then kind of getting them into selling the product.
Right, 100%. And that funnel concept is something, either a whole episode, but we can talk about that now too.
Yeah.
Like the funnel concept is huge. And I think it's important for a lot of people watching that they understand like exactly what that means. You could be 16 years old, you could be 60 years old, doesn't matter. But, at the end of the day, when somebody buys your product, uses your service, does something, you went through a funnel to get there.
Exactly.
Somehow, some way, whether you're literally, eating a Subway sandwich or
right.
If you're buying an online course or if you're like, doing anything, you're going through a funnel. Email, maybe you get a lot of emails and you're like, I'm into that. And after the 5th email, you're like, let me check this out, right? Everyone's had that moment. Or, you watch, for me, right, in recruitment, I put out a lot of content on YouTube. Yep. So a lot of YouTube videos, tutorials, free, free information.
That's the top of funnel.
Yeah. That's my top of funnel, right?
People getting to know you.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I think what's huge for us to talk about is kind of like how people can do that kind of thing. And they might not even realize, that they've got something on their hands already that they can, execute with, but they're just not creating and putting together the Legos.
Right. Yeah, I think I know, and that's where I think you and I connect. Again, you with recruiting and me with e-commerce. And then now we took it to the next level in trying to teach people what we do.
Yep. Team up.
And there's, and that's like with this podcast. This is kind of like that top of funnel, that YouTube, the content that you've created, and you know, your 13,000 subscribers. That's to get people in, to get to know you, and building that audience from there. Again, top of funnel. The next layer of that is anyone who might be interested. We're offering kind of just like a little tool or a kit, you know.
Yep.
And that's to, again, get a little more information from them. So now you're that's the second level of the funnel. So now you're not only hitting the cold customers or cold audience anymore. You're going into that next level. Right. And then once you get people there, then now you can start interacting with them, and then either have them go into your Facebook group, or go into now they're your email subscriber, and then now you're building that relationship. And then from there, like, you want to explain how you've been able to kind of just get success with your YouTube and your Facebook group?
Yeah, big time. So, like, you know, YouTube just kind of came out of nowhere. So I started my recruiting agency and was actively recruiting, you know, still am running my recruiting agency. And basically what evolved from that was consulting on recruiting, because I created those two elements that you mentioned, those funnels, right? Which really was one funnel. YouTube became, you know, a top of funnel, trickled down to a Facebook group where there's now 7,000 people that know me, that know about me, know what I do, know how I do it. And this is all free stuff. Like, this is not like, you know, nobody's buying anything, right? So, you know, we're kind of just giving information here and sharing and collaborating,
building that trust.
Building trust, which is massive. The trust, just getting to know me, you know, all that kind of thing. And when someone has that as a potential buyer of something later down the line, because we don't start digital businesses to make, you know, money like that. Like, that's not how it works.
No, it's a long-term game.
Right.
It's a marathon.
You're going for it. It's a long play. So what you're doing is basically setting up all these things, the chess pieces, right? Like we always like to talk about, the grandmaster chess player, you know, it's like 12 steps ahead, you know, versus like just what's the next move. So, you know, bringing people through, and that's where really audience building got big for me, because that's where I was able to create a big audience from my Facebook group, from YouTube. Then it became from anywhere. And I'll talk to people like, you know, some people that I get on the phone with, and they ask me like, hey, you know, I didn't know you were going to call me. I thought one of your team members was going to call me. Right. And I was like, no, it's me, you know.
That's cool. Yeah. Because then now they're, you know, like they've watched so many of your videos. They've listened to you so much, you know, just giving free good content. And then sometimes, you know, like the Grant Cardones and whatnots, they're so big, you can't even touch them. You can't touch them within an arm's length. And you have been able to kind of use that to your advantage. You're not the Grant Cardone. You know, we'll get there one day. But at this time, like, how can you benefit your students or your people in your mentorship program? They're allowed, they can work with you directly one-on-one. You're the one that's emailing them. You're the one that's hopping on the Zoom calls. It's not a team. So that's your unique selling proposition and is why everyone wants to work with you.
Right. So that's one of them of many, you know, and they're so small and nuanced that it takes a little bit to kind of figure out, you know, and over time you learn this stuff, right? And I think you and I have learned it really, really well,
for sure,
to be able to sell, you know, up into the 7-figure level.
Yeah.
And basically it's like where you get to the point where somebody talks to you on the phone, they're like, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity.
Right.
Well, I think you kind of you made your funnel right, you know. So you know, and that just kind of gets funny, but like, you know, overall you're able to just grab leads like like they're going out of style. You know what I mean?
What's amazing to me is how you've been able to create an audience organically.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that you still haven't touched advertising, paid ads.
Yeah.
You still haven't touched that. So you still have another layer and level, but I also feel like you're so authentic. Like you don't even want to go to that next step where sometimes it's almost like cold calling or cold emailing when you start doing the ads.
Right.
Yeah.
You hit on a big topic there for me too, because staying true to the vision, right? Because I really love what I do, and I love helping people out. And you love exactly what you do. Like you love creating amazing, products for people to buy, and creating amazing, stores, and just making it simple for people and all that, and making it efficient and things like that. And we really enjoy all the things we do. And I think when you stay true to all that stuff, what happens is people just gravitate towards you, right? They just gravitate towards your truth,
right?
Because there's so many people that are on the internet that are selling whatever. I mean, they could be selling almost the same thing you sell, but people will always like gravitate towards the best energy. And this is what I've learned that's huge. A whole factor about like people literally being drawn magnetically towards your energy and your videos or your group or whatever it is, right? Because they just love what you have to put out.
And that's what makes you uniquely you. So I think that's the other thing that
you
exactly, where people are just like, why should I start teaching e-commerce or like coaching or becoming, and it's like, there's a whole bunch of people doing it. Why should I do it? Yeah. And there's so many beginners or people that just wants to get on the online space. So I think the demand is endless, one. And two, like you just mentioned, being authentic, being you, bringing that energy, that separates you from the next person or like the big person. In
separates
my space,
you from everybody.
Exactly. In my space, in the e-commerce world, it's like Kevin David.
Yeah.
And what's the difference? How can I offer a unique position compared to him when I'm teaching how to do e-commerce? I let you touch me. Like we'll hop on a call one-on-one.
Right.
We'll hop on the Zoom calls. And you could text me. I'm here to actually help you one-on-one. Yes, you can go with the bigger courses or bigger coaching programs, but I guarantee you're working with their team and not with them specifically.
Right.
So again, it's like all about selling yourself, being authentic. And just putting a unique twist or just a way to separate yourself from the competition out there.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, like I mean, people thinking about it in their heads if they're listening, right? It's like, what are Ben and Mike doing? They're successful, man. They make why aren't they out driving fancy cars or sitting on a yacht or something or whatever? I mean, yeah, there's a time and a place, but like here's the thing, like we love what we do and we love being able to curate the ability to help other people rise up and do very, very similar things with their own niche or whatever they're into, right? Or helping them be able to lift that brand up or lift that group up, that audience up that they have, and become a leader, become a true, authentic authority, in your space. And I think that's the thing that you and I, before we started the podcast, we really, really talked on that. We were really all about how can we just help people get to an area in their mind where they're able to grab the reins and say, listen, like I can do this thing. And like, I can get up to 7 figures. I can get up to 6 figures, whatever, and, at least be able to just ride this thing out and escalate it,
Yeah, no, 100%. See, and I agree with you. I think it's, you and I have a unique like passion. Like, I do this for fun.
Yeah.
Like, when this is all, when the podcast is off, I'm reading blogs and articles about digital marketing and how to grow your audience and how to make the sale and what online digital marketing. It's what I do for fun.
Yep.
That's what I read before I go to bed.
Right.
I read books on it, and that's how passionate about it I am, and like how much I want to share it with everyone. And what's drawn me so much towards online businesses is you know, I went to college, did the 9 to 5, and that was always the backup plan. What other business can you start while working a 9 to 5? Just like majority of the, you know, the US population, they're working the 9 to 5. What else can you do to start a business to generate or even be able to scale to 6 figures within like less than a year or a couple years?
Nothing.
It's only online businesses.
It's all
You want to
online.
try to build a brick and mortar store? Do you know how many rules and regulations you have to get to that?
Oh my goodness.
If you, again, like I'll bring up when I wanted to make an app, like I was trying to go for level 8, 9, and 10 business ideas when I should have been focusing on level 1 and 2.
Correct.
Things that are low risk,
Yeah,
but high returns.
absolutely.
And with that, in our space, there's a lot of competition because it's a low entry to barrier.
Right.
And what separates ourselves from everyone else? You know, there's doctors. Mm-hmm. You don't get bad doctors. You know why? Because they have to go through 15, 20 years of schooling.
Yep.
If you want to create a coaching program, you can start one tomorrow, right?
Right.
And I think that's what separates people is there are good coaches.
Right. A lot of them.
There's a lot. I've paid $5,000-$6,000 with one of my, I don't know if you know this, but with Ramit Sethi, I'll give you the shout out. Hopefully you'll hop on one of our podcasts.
Ramit Sethi.
He taught the I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He's a New York Times bestseller.
Got it. Okay. Yep. I've definitely,
I went through his
Took me
program
a second.
back in like 2012, 2013, and my eyes just opened up.
Yep.
And yes, you can learn all these things on YouTube, like 100%. You can
Right.
learn digital marketing, but there's just so much information there.
Yeah.
What if I told you I can give you a clear cut, step-by-step way to get from 0 to 6 figures? Mm-hmm. And that's what
In
we
like
do.
6 months.
In 6 months. And I know it sounds, for someone who has, like you mentioned before, the limiting belief, where
Right.
you're like, that
Right.
sounds too good to be true.
Right.
But if I gave you the roadmap and I showed you that 10, 15 people did it before you,
Yeah.
I think you can do it with the hard work.
Absolutely. So like in my Facebook group, you know, I make it a point to put people that have worked with me and are currently working with me still on interviews where I ask them the questions and I say, tell me what you made. Tell me where you're at. And they're like, look, I've got 275. The most recent interview I just did with somebody was that they're a recruiting student. They just opened an agency. They got 14 contracts with 14 different clients, and in the pipeline that they'll close up by the end of Q2, they're gonna close out $275K. This person's never done recruiting, has never had a clue how to do it. They just went through my 8-week program for recruitment. Now, also they have already collected $50,000 on the revenue.
Wow.
And I'm just like watching these people fly. And, you know, I make it a point to say like, hey, this person is doing this. You know what I mean? They have never done it before and now they're doing it. And I think it's a big thing for you and I, you know, to not only do what we do, but then like, you know, inspire people who think they can't, because this is a big thing for me. And I talk about this a lot on YouTube. And I bring it up a lot to people in general that just have this mindset block and they're stuck by their limiting beliefs. And I always make the joke that I'm not Tony Robbins or anything like that, or I'm not going to give you this, like, you know, whoever feels like this, say hi, you know, like forget about that. But look, everybody does have this element of, I don't know, could I really do that? You know, or could I really take my knowledge and sell it to people that want to know what I know, right? Because, you know, there's 7 billion people on the planet, and, you know, and you got to imagine some small percentage of people are going to want to know what you know, and they'll pay you to learn that so they can do it too. Right.
100%.
And you know what I mean? I mean, it was like people that are doing Forex, people that are doing e-commerce, people that are doing recruiting, people that are doing like copywriting. I mean, if you're a good writer, if you're a good, you know, this, that, whatever, you name it, it's any of it. Right. You know, so I don't know. People need to reach that level where they're like, you know, they're believing before they're seeing it happen, you know?
I think for sure. I think a lot of people don't think what they're capable of. I think they kind of just go with like the normal steps just to go like day by day, because they just don't know how they can possibly get from point A, which is making maybe a couple of $1,000 a month, to 6 figures. Like that thing in their head right there is mind blowing to them.
Right.
But if you really think about it, if you're thinking about 6 figures, that's what, $7,000 a month.
$8,366 a month, I believe,
Right.
is $100,000 a year.
Is $100,000 a year. So if you could even secure a client, 2 clients for $4,000 a month, there goes your $100,000 a year.
You're
so
there already.
Two clients.
What's next?
Right? So
Right.
it's going to shock people how quickly you can go from 0 to 6 figures.
Right.
And like you mentioned, that's only 2 sales a month.
Yeah.
So that's what I think you and I, we work so well, is because like we would be able to help people find those 2 clients a month.
Oh, yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah. That's the easy part.
For you to find 2 clients a month, every single month, would get you $8,000 a month, which in return gives you the 6 figures. So
Right.
I think that's like the first step that I think makes people believe that they can do something or sell something online. Like that was my first sale on e-commerce, $25.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how my mind just thought, just like, wow, someone from across the country purchased my product.
Right.
And then when I created my first program to teach people how to do e-commerce, someone from Canada purchased my course,
Right.
selling for $1,500.
Yep.
And it was just amazing. And they were just like, they were excited to work with me. So I think that's the other thing that people need to realize is belief in yourself and what you're trying to sell.
Yes.
Like you're not scamming anyone. You know what I mean? Like it's not, there's no, I'm giving them real step-by-step ways on how what I learned in 12 years, I'm going to package it up for you.
Right.
And I'm going to work with you one-on-one so that you see the same success.
Right.
And it's a win-win for both of them, because I'm getting paid to teach you what I learned in 10 years.
Absolutely.
And you within 3 months, 2 to 3 months, or even less than that,
Right.
have your first sale.
Yep.
How is that? That's a win-win for both of us.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things of my business, where I work with people in consulting, right? In the recruiting space, when I'm working with people and I'm talking to them, and I'm going through my program with them, and I'm kind of delving through everything. One of the biggest things and the biggest factors that I'm all about is ROI, right? And I will literally tell people to not to their face, because we're on the phone usually.
Right.
So I'll tell people on the phone, I'll say, listen, hey, this is all about ROI. And I don't like to play around with ROI. So my number one goal is for you to cover your ROI, right? So obviously I've got a lot of time invested here. I've got a lot of my own knowledge invested here. And basically it's more so the time, right? Because you got to pay someone for their time.
Right.
So basically, at the end of the day, whatever somebody is paying you for your program, your system, your service, whatever, they need an ROI on that. And I explain that to people because I know they're thinking about that, right? But when you can give somebody, not a guarantee, right? But you can give someone like hey, here's what we're going to do to make sure that you get that ROI, right? On whatever you're investing in, whatever level it is, $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 that you're paying me, wherever you're at, by selling XYZ or by getting you to XYZ level, you're going to be hitting your ROI. Then it's rinse and repeat from there. That's all it is.
Right.
Right. Once you know what's up. Plus, the way you and I do things is, I know with your consulting, I know with mine, we both are super hands-on to the point where it's like, it's not a set it and forget it. Let's go. You kind of just go through some stuff and, figure it out. I mean, I work with people like this, like, you know what I mean? To the point where like, you text me, you hit me up, you got a, something really pressing, I'm back at you. Like, cause I want you to win.
Exactly.
Cause
again, like if they're winning, you're winning.
Yeah.
They're going to give you the testimonials. They're going to give you the, at the end of the day, like to show the results that your program is working.
I think that's one of the biggest things too that you and I share. And I think we kind of said it in a different way earlier, but the way that you and I view success is through other people's success.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
You know, and we can say it all day. Your success is my success, blah, 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 whatever. But that is the truth. Like, that is what it's all about. Seeing people win is like the biggest high I could ever get on earth, flat out. Like, seeing people go hit multiple six figures in a couple of months, like beating what I did when I first started recruiting. I'm like,
that's impressive.
I'm like, you know what I mean?
It's like you have surpassed the teacher at that point.
Exactly,
like,
right.
Wow. And I'm so impressed because you gave them the tools and now they're doing better than you are.
Exactly.
Like, and I love that.
Right. And I love it. And it's amazing, you know, which is fine because, you know, they're going real hard and they're doing what they're supposed to do, which is, you know, the other part of it. It's a two-way street, right? You know, somebody that really wants to learn has really got to want to learn. You know, I mean, they can't just be kind of like playing around like, well, let me try this out or let me give it, you know, a side hustle aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's true to a degree, but I think you really do have to put your time in when you're putting your time in. You know what I mean?
For sure.
If you're going to teach somebody e-commerce, I mean, they need to really kind of delve into that material. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's like where the next step where we're trying to go is not only are we trying to teach people how to be great in e-commerce or recruiting, but in
or anything that
the next step that we'd love to show people, and we've already been working with people, is how can they take what their expertise are and then package that up so then they are now coaching people. They have a mentorship program that they're making six figures and they can leave that 9 to 5 job.
Absolutely. I mean, the goals roll downhill, people. Like, you know what I mean? So, my goal was exit 9 to 5. I'm done with corporate America, right? So how did I do it? Started a recruiting company, got my first client. My recruiting income started to match my 9 to 5 income. I was like, why am I here? I went home and then 2x, you know, everything I was making hit $100,000 in half the time I would have at my salaried job. And I was like, okay, well, that was obvious. So peace, you know?
Right.
And at that point, then it was just 10x everything, scale, and then get to a point.
Grant Cardone, 10x.
10x, Grant Cardone. Yeah, he's going to be the ultimate guest at some point. But at a certain point, then you're just like on a track. And the next evolution from that was consulting, and then you and I linked up later on. You know?
No, that's and we met up at this pivotal moment where we're just like, again, how can we work together? What is our specialty in, and how can we bring this unique selling proposition into teaching someone else to create their own mentorship and coaching program? So there's like a variety. Like I've in the past already worked with like personal trainers who want to be done trading they're personal trainers. They have their own business, but they want to create something that they can scale. Yeah. And you can't trade, you know, they're working 9 to 5 again, training them, but how can you package that? Again, that's where we want to step in, and we want to start teaching people through this podcast is like, no, you can take that, what you know about training, put that in a package and provide one-on-one mentorship or a group mentorship with some video courses, teaching them, and again, giving those people success into getting in better shape, you know, training and whatnot. So like, again, that's just one of the many categories of topics that I think that we want to teach people. Again, going through that funnel system, going through a step-by-step way of one, finding your unique product or idea that you want to sell or package up. 2, finding the clients. 3, getting your first sale. And then rinse and repeat. It's that simple.
Absolutely. I too have worked with personal trainers.
Yeah.
I too have worked, I've worked with plenty of medical staff, like, you know, nurses, CNAs, phlebotomists. Literally you name it, you know, right? And in my case, in my scenario, I've worked with a lot of people who just want to flip the table right? You know, just like you said, the personal trainer wants to take it, package it up, put it in a box, sell the box, you know, for 5 times the price they were selling their personal training for.
Right.
But now you're just selling your training on personal training, you know what I mean? Type of thing, right? And sharing that, like, you know, I don't love to use the word passion, because, you know, I think it's more of like a, a fun activity, you know, something you enjoy, like, you know, but ultimately they're putting that passion for what they do into helping people. And that's really what we all should be passionate about. I think we're all like here to help other people level up.
Yes.
Right. I've always believed that.
Whether it's mindset, whether it's just kind of selling something or just increasing your knowledge in something.
Yeah.
Will always just kind of get you to that next level that you want to be. And we want to take away those limiting beliefs that people might have and say like, hey, would you believe me if I told you that you can make 6 figures within, you know, even 6 to 12 months. Or in your case, even in the recruiting space, like how quickly have you ever seen someone go from 0 to 6 figures?
Literally.
I mean, yourself, for example.
Well, for me, it was 6 months.
Yeah.
And because I had never done recruiting and I was just like, let's see what's up. So I just went in and I crossed over and did about 130K in 6 months.
And you did this while a 9 to 5.
While working 9 to 5, right? So while still working 9 to 5. So, I mean, anybody curious about that whole 9 to 5 mixed with the whole, setting up a business, creating a funnel and, working on all that together, that works, by the way, just so anyone wondering.
You don't need to quit your job, and we're not asking anyone to quit their job tomorrow.
Oh, no. Absolutely.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
Don't go flipping desks tomorrow just because you heard us on a podcast saying that you can make 0 to 100,000 in 3 to 6 months.
Yes. do not go Office Space on the printer.
Exactly.
No, but the fastest person I've seen go was just somebody I was telling you about. His name's Cody. And he did 275K.
That's insane.
Yeah, in 2 months. 2 months.
That's crazy.
And so ridiculous. I mean, just crazy. Like, I mean, you would think it's crazy,
right?
But at the end of the day, I mean, we kind of know it's like, okay, par for the course, Right. And he added some team members and did what you do when you scale a business, right? Just like I've got a team member. I have multiple team members now, very recently, and things like that. Doing things that you do when you scale up a business, but that's what you do when you start making more money, because that's the way to make more money.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the other route. Like, people don't really understand as far as, like, again, the potential when you move your business online, and how you're be able to scale quickly. Again, I think one of the things that you and I focused on was YouTube. I started my YouTube account, not as much as you, 5,000 subscribers compared to your 13,000. Again, to get to build that organic audience.
Yes.
And I think what people don't recognize is in those audiences organically, like if you're not on YouTube or like even TikTok, like I feel old. I'm a millennial, so I feel old bringing up TikTok.
Right.
But YouTube and TikTok, if we were to kind of just go a little more tactical, are the only social media platforms where you can get organic reach.
Yeah.
Like the only ones.
Right.
You put out content, you put out good content based on the algorithm, you're getting people watching that, and it continues to push out your content.
Absolutely.
You can't do that on Facebook.
Right.
You can't, like, unless you have an ad and it's continuously sharing, or if you have, again, a Facebook group or page.
Yeah.
Instagram, you could barely do that.
Yeah.
It's if you just hop on an Instagram like I do, I'll just go on my timeline.
Right.
And I won't even focus on the explore page, which has like the hashtags and whatnot.
Right.
YouTube and TikTok are the only platforms right now that are out there where you put out content and it pushes your content out for free.
Yeah.
And people think that you need 100,000 followers or 10,000 or 1 million subscribers in order to be successful. You have 13,000 and you're doing pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh, I only got 100 views or 200 views on my video producing that free content. And what really hit me was last time we spoke, it was like, can you imagine 200 people in the room, Mike? And I'm like, that's insane. Yeah, you're right.
Right. So I was telling you, and I guess I'll tell everybody that's watching. So one of my low performing videos, or one of my early videos, I guess probably, got something like, I don't know, whatever, 115 views.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Which just means a unique person viewing the video. Now imagine. Okay, that's low. You know, I mean, normally it's like 50,000 views on a video, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, kind of beat yourself up, right? No, wait, stop. What if that was 115 people in a packed room listening to you speak? Like,
that's crazy to think. To put it in that perspective.
Right. Just flip the script. You know what I mean? And I heard that from someone else, and that's when that always has stuck with me, because I've always been like, okay, wow, that is amazing to actually flip the script and think about. Because people will start a YouTube channel and they'll get 200 subscribers, 300, 400 maybe, and they'll just be depressed about it. They won't even try for the 1,000, and everybody knows you got to get 1,000 subs, and then things kick in.
0 to 1,000 I think is the hardest.
It's hardest.
It's harder than 1,000 to 10,000.
It's the hardest, and it's easier if you make better content.
Yes,
let's just say that.
Yes,
right.
You make good content, that's what's going to drive it. You make bad content, it's either you go for quantity over quality or quality over quantity. It's like either one of those. There's two tactics to go about it. Yeah, you go through quality. It takes a lot of time to produce a perfect video and content. But you go for quantity. Like one of those things are bound to do well. Yeah. So there's multiple ways, and if you do the quality or the quantity, I should say, you get better as you go. Yep. So just again, with this podcast, it's our first episode. We're just going to continually get better. Just like I'm sure, and I know this with myself, my very first YouTube video was horrible. Oh, mine was horrendous. I almost want to take it down right now, but it's still getting me views.
But we never will take those down, because it's where you started. Mm-hmm. It's what, and if you ever needed to think about where you were versus where you are, right? We'll never take that down. You know what I mean? And no, I love the whole, quality over quantity type of thing, because that's a very good, kind of algorithm in business too, you know? What's funny? So, side story, I got a buddy, and, I forget the channel name, so I'll shout it next time, but long story short, have you ever heard of a Carolina Reaper?
Yes, I have. You're talking about the hot pepper?
Yes. So this dude is into eating that kind of stuff and other similar absurd. Basically, this is like taking mace, just like eating mace.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
I'm sweating just thinking about it.
Right. So this is one of my buddies. And I just saw that he set this YouTube up 2 months ago or something, and he's got about 800 subs now at this point. He eats Carolina Reapers all the time. Yeah. And other even crazier stuff like habanero, whatever. Habanero, this, that, level 11 peppers all day long. Yeah. And with 800 subs, the other day I popped onto his YouTube, and do you know who Shoe Nice is?
I don't.
Shoe Nice, the guy who would literally pound an entire fifth of whatever, whiskey, anything.
I feel like I know who this is, but I didn't know their name was Shoe
Okay,
Nice.
this dude got shut down because of the insanity. Yeah. He was known as the human dumpster. Oh, wow. And it was craziness. He got anyways, everybody knows Shoe Nice. Yep. And he got a shout out from this dude. He reached out to Shoe Nice. Yeah. And got a shout out from this guy. No way. And anybody that's watching this, right, you'll know who Shoe Nice is, most likely. And my buddy got a shout out from him. Yeah. And he literally was like, hey, such and such a channel, you better be watching it. He's doing some crazy stuff on there, blah, 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 blah. And it's you don't know what's going to happen when you start something up, right. Yeah. And I would imagine people think it's so, so crazy, so hard. But at the end of the day, you know this probably too. You start getting like people emailing you like, hey, can you mention this product? Can you mention this software? Can you mention this thing? You know, whatever. I'll give you this affiliate link
I get
and whatever.
so many of those opportunities come through the inbox.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you got to be the smart person kind of, well, I mean, this is something we would teach, but you know, you push things aside until you are comfortable doing things that you actually support, not things that you just want to throw out there and maybe make, you know,
Right.
$10, you know, just promoting it or whatever.
And what's crazy, I think you mentioned this to me before when we were on a phone call, but you have people emailing you just like directly, because I leave my email on my YouTube and they're like, hey, Mike, like, and at that point, I wasn't even selling a program or coaching or doing any type of mentorship. And they were like, hey, Mike, I love the story about you. I loved how you did so well in e-commerce. Like, is there any way we could hop on a phone call? And I'm like, I didn't even think of this. Like, I was just kind of just sharing my free content. I did it without a plan before.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? I just kind of want to start a YouTube channel and just kind of give out free content, because I thought there was a lot of just information online that wasn't like the best. And I was all about just like creating a brand, going the long route. And a lot of people were just all about get rich quick, like put a product, if it sells, it sells, and then find another product. And I was like, I only created 3 brands. A brand. That's the difference between like your regular Walmart shirt and a Nike shirt that can sell for $40, $50.
Right.
And the same exact, it feels exactly the same. It's the brand.
Yeah. And that's the difference between you and probably about 500,000 other people that are doing something similar online.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you got to learn how to separate yourself again by being authentic, being true, giving real solid content. And every single comment on my YouTube, I replied 100%.
Yeah.
Gave them real, like, they're like, hey, how did you actually set up your Facebook ads? Set it up like this. Did you set your pixel up?
Right.
And things like that. So like, I was just always about helping people again, building that audience where people are like, oh yeah, I trust Mike. I trust what he can do. And then again, taking them to the next layer of that funnel where it's like, okay, let's talk one-on-one. Like let's email back and forth. Let's get you on our Facebook group page. So now that you can help people on a mass level. So if you answer one person's question, everyone can take a look at it. And then you kind of just go down the route here. And now this audience, like they treat you like the Ramit Sethi or the Grant Cardone, where they believe anything you say, because you are just giving them real good information. Right.
Because you're legitimately there to help somebody out. You're not just there to be like, you know, I'm hawking a product. If you don't want it, don't talk to me. You know, get off my phone. Right. You know, do this, do that, whatever. I've legitimately heard of people where like you can't even be on the phone with them for under like $200 for 30 minutes. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I understand the value of my time for sure. But I also understand the value of 30 minutes for a potential prospect that wants to work with me, right, in a program. You know, I'm not talking about like just helper calls. Like, you know, I mean, you know, if you did that all day, where would you get, right? So that's something, you know, definitely we touch on. We talk to like our students about that kind of thing.
Right.
But like, you know, you've got to look at it from the angle of, okay, you know, I need to come with all of my knowledge, come with all of my goodwill, and also basically be there for the right purpose. And as long as you got a purpose in mind, like you've got everything. Because I think, you know, like I said before, our purpose in general is always to help somebody level up and get them to a new space, get them to a higher point where they were before. And people are craving it. Like, you know, this is 2019 to now, especially 2020. Everything, I mean, you know how my year was in 2020. I mean, like basically people in the online, you know, consulting space are ready more than ever to have their own online remote businesses, because that's the thing today. Like, how many people are they letting Amazon work remote now permanently?
It's the evolution now.
This is the tip of the iceberg too. I think was it Zillow? Where else?
Everyone can work from home.
Twitter, 100%.
24/7. It's like now we've been given the opportunity. So like I know for sure, like with what's going around with the world, and we now have to quarantine. A lot of businesses have to quarantine. Now it's like, you got to take it again, like that positive mindset of like, how can I make this situation better? A majority of the 9-to-5ers are working from home. This is the best time to start a business. When other could you find some time 2 to 3 hours in a day to start a business and, create content on YouTube, create your first podcast show, start building that top of funnel, providing real good content, and then people will kind of drive down through the funnel. Like, this is the best opportunity now. And I think a lot of people think it's saturated. What I love about what you told me, if it's saturated, that means it's high demand.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that thought. This is just like the positive way to think about it. Like, if there's you wonder why there's so many, like here in Seattle, there's so many coffee shops. Yeah. And I'm like, who wants to start a coffee shop? Like, there's so many, but the demand is there. Right. That's why you see 4 or 5 around the street, and they've still been there for several years. Right. There's more than Starbucks. Right. But like, again, like there's so many people that are like, why are you going to start a coffee shop? It's, everyone has a coffee shop, but the demand is there. If it's saturated, there's high demand. Right. Absolutely. Or something like in Seattle, like pho. And if you know, if you don't know, come to Seattle. But, you know what I mean? So like, there's a million pho shops. There's a million coffee shops. There's a million whatever, all of that. But, the demand is out the door for it, right? Because we've got that kind of culture here, and that's what it is. And at the end of the day, like, saturation just means like, okay, cool. Well, I guess I'm going to go be an awesome person in a pool full of a bunch of lame people. Right. So let's go, Exactly. That's what saturation means to me. Yeah. And honestly, when people are like, the economy's going down, like there's a downturn, like Biden got elected, oh my goodness, like, let's see what the economy's going to do to the stock market. I mean, listen, calm down. All right. It's crazy. It's crazy with all the negativity. It's like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I bought my first house during this time. During the midst of a pandemic. Exactly. Midst of like an election change. Bought a new car. Like, and a lot of these people are just focused on things they can't control. Yep. So yes, sometimes a 9-to-5, you don't necessarily get too much control. You go in, you go out, you hope to climb the corporate ladder. Starting a business, that's what I love about the online space. I get to control every aspect of it. Right. Why am I not getting more clients? Right. Because I'm not going out creating content and grabbing those people. It's on me. It's on you. How else can I do that? Why am I not going into paid ads? Like, it's on me to like why I'm not getting to what point to another. So I think you starting, or anyone starting a business, and I hope everyone hears this, is you're back in control. You're back in the driver's seat. Yes. Regardless if you're in the middle of a pandemic, you're doing fine. Right. And then once you get to that level where now you have enough capital, you can go and invest in different things. So then you can, like, again, spread your wealth. And at the same time, like, if one thing is going bad, like if you went into real estate and things were going bad, you already have your eggs in another basket. Again, like what we always talk about, we have 5-6 things going on at once. Right. This is just one of, like you mentioned before in our first podcast episode, you're working on a software business. Yep. Like, that's amazing. It's like, coming down the pipeline. Again, that's on the side. Like, you're doing that. Right. But you can't get to that point unless you build that first capital in order to do everything else. Exactly. And that's the hard part. People get stuck in this rat race. Right. The 9-to-5, just, working 9-to-5, paying the bills, rinse and repeat there. And it's hard for them to break out of that. But once you break out of that first step, right, and then now financially, you have that financial freedom, right, where you're not trading your time for money, right, and it's giving you the time to think, think of new opportunities, think of new ideas. Once you break through that first layer, do you know how many new opportunities come to us now where I don't even know which direction to go? Right. You could pitch me like an idea about buying like a strip mall. Yep. Be like, hey, we need to put down X amount of money right now. We're probably gonna get X amount of return. I know of 3 or 4 clients that possibly want to be tenants. And I'd be like, Mike, I'm probably in. Exactly. Because now we have the capital to do that. You're able to do things, right? Yeah. And I think it becomes, or it can become, a difficult conversation for some people, because a lot of people don't like to talk about money openly and freely, and sit there and talk about like, hey,
I'm Ben Nader, and I've made more than I've made at a corporate 9-to-5 in one. In fact, I made twice what I made in 1 month at an ex-corporate 9-to-5. That's facts, right? And you've obviously done the same. And like, people don't like to talk about it. People think you're bragging. People, right? You know what I mean?
And people do get like that. Sometimes I shy away from saying my numbers.
Yeah.
And it's impressive to me. I know it's just like, man, I generated 1.1 by myself out of my small apartment 5 years ago. It was out of my apartment.
Right.
And myself, like, it's crazy once you take out that limiting belief and knowing that you could like just scale and just generate like your businesses and whatnot, to now know that like I'm sitting back and I'm like, wow, I generated 7 figures by myself.
Right.
Some mom and pops companies can't even generate even a quarter of that in a given year. And I did that all by myself in my apartment. And what tool gives you the ability to do that? The online space.
The online space, the mindset around how you can use the online space, the mindset around what you're capable of, right? And I think too many people just don't have somebody letting them know, hey, listen, you can do this, and you can be Michael, right? You know, you could be Ben doing what he's doing this, and that. It's abundance, okay? We have abundance, people, you know what I mean? And I think people do not understand or relive that in their mind over and over. We have an abundance of opportunity, right? And when people talk about saturation, we talk about, you know, like scarcity and all this kind of stuff, I wake up every single day, and I'm sure you would say the exact same thing, thinking about how much opportunity I have that day. Oh my goodness, how much money can I make today? What can I do to increase my income? You know, what is there another idea I can kind of put on the plate right now, or at least get started, or, you know, something that I can kind of mess with, right? And you get these right people, and you get the right people in your life. You get the right people that are speaking these kind of things into your life and working with you on it and things like that. You'll go sky high. And that's how it's worked out for me for everything. It's trickle down goals, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's crazy because like the things that we learned in, 10 years of this, it's again, like this was an overnight success for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because like I had to build a trust of like getting mentorships or getting mentors and getting, picking out the right programs that like would benefit me.
Yeah.
But this was a long journey for us. Like we got from point A to B to Z, like now we're here and it took a long time to get here.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like when you have a coach or, there's life coaches, there's personal training coaches, there's business coaches, consulting, we want you to get there faster because we don't want you to have to go through all those mistakes.
Right.
We want you to, it's like, if you came up to us with a problem, it's like, oh, I remember that. I went through that in 2018.
Right.
This is what I did. Don't do that.
Exactly.
And that's
100%.
the separation. Like, yes, you can do all this on your own.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube, find the right things, but there's a plethora of different information, different direction you can go.
Right.
So if I were to give anyone advice, is like find someone you trust. Find someone that you can work with one-on-one. Find someone that you could pick up a phone and talk to them directly. Right. And there's not a lot of people that do that.
Right.
And a lot of people do it wrong on the digital marketing space. They think they can just post a YouTube video and within there post their course or their coaching program and think they're going to do well.
Right. Without a framework. And
exactly.
And
there's so many steps in between that.
Right.
That I think that me and you have been able to perfect.
Yes.
And like teach people.
Right.
Because there's really a method to it. And it's a simple one. Building the relationships. But like, yes, I can say building the relationships. But on a tactical level, like, okay, it's directly DMing them.
Right.
Like it's directly hopping on a phone call.
Right.
I don't even put my sales page online. Like
No.
I want people to hop on a phone call with me.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Then following up with them and then following through and giving them the right product and saying, doing what, again, the ROI.
Right.
If I hop on a phone call with someone and I was like, hey, my program is $1,000 and I bet you, I promise you, not bet you, I promise you through my program in 30 days, my goal is to get you your ROI back and then rinse and repeat it.
Right.
Who can say no to that?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And the whole concept here, and this is a real simple one, but every single thing we do in life has a learning curve, right? Well, I guess that's not a curve, but a learning curve, right? Yep. And it's a curve, and right here's the hardest part. Right here's where you've learned it, and then right here's just the downhill, 10x, right?
Yep.
So here's where you're starting. Now, wouldn't it be cool if instead of this learning curve, right, what someone can do is basically just cut that learning curve and take that rest of that, flatten the curve to the point where there is no curve, okay? Because someone's telling you exactly what to do, right? Step by step level. Not even we're not talking about go try that, see what happens. Go try this, see what, no, forget about it. Literally cutting the learning curve out. So it's not a thing anymore, and that's always how I look at my business, in consulting. That's always how I've been looking at it. And I know you do the same thing. We see it as, how do we remove the curve so that we can just move you from point A to point B, right? And get you in that spot where you're like, I know this stuff now. Now I can execute. Now I can operate. Now I can make money. Now my ROI is done, and it's just, that's the goal,
Right. And I think that's the thing even with this podcast is, and especially what we want to share with everyone is we want to give you real tactics, real tips from A to Z, and really show you how to do it. You know what I mean? The value that we want to provide here on the podcast is so that you will trust us. In turn, now we're working one-on-one. But in order to do that, again, we're going to build the trust here. And I think once people start seeing and they'll see in our next episodes and next few episodes, I'm sure we want to hit it right out the gate.
Yeah.
And just give people great content, great value. So now they really do trust us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's a lot of people that already trust me in the e-commerce space, a lot of people that trust you in the recruiting space. And there's so many of them that now they're just okay, I've done so well with e-commerce, but now I see where you're at, Mike, next level, where you're consulting. Can you teach us how to do that?
Right.
And then I think people are doing that on your side of too with the recruiting. So I think that's again where we're coming, and we're going to just combine our teachings. And again, that's what this podcast is for. businesspodcastshow.com.
Right.
Again, teaching the online space. We just want to teach people exactly what we learned, how to, be financially free. So you don't have to worry about the 9-to-5 job. And even if you want to work the 9-to-5 job, to have that side hustle where you can make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, that will just allow you to live the life that I think everyone deserves. I think everyone deserves happiness. I think everyone deserves the freedom to go and be wherever they want to be.
Right.
And the only space to do that is the online space.
100% agreed. And I think everybody, as a precursor to the happiness, freedom, or at least that pursuit of that happiness, right? They have that opportunity, everyone's got the opportunity. And I think through Business Podcast Show, everything that we're doing so far, episode 2, we're still early, people. All right. This is still new. But as we go through, as we have guests on, highly successful people that we want to talk to and bring in and talk about their journeys and things like that, but always, hone in on digital marketing and consulting and kind of the online business space. We always want to be, delivering that value, just that value every single time to show you kind of exactly what you're capable of doing and what you have in front of you as far as opportunity, because nobody can come up to me and tell me, well, I don't have the opportunity to do that because fill in the blank. That doesn't exist. If that's where you are right now, we need to talk, what I mean? Because that's, everybody's got an opportunity to crush it.
Yeah. Again, how we similarly both started our YouTube account and giving that free content. Like, this is what we want to do on our podcast show. It's a unique, or not unique, but it's a new space for us.
Yeah.
But again, like, that's that type of mentality that me and Ben kind of went through, and you're now seeing us on episode 2, and this is how we start off with every episode. It's like, we'd rather just get something started, put out there, and craft it there from there. There's you can't go and worry about perfection initially.
Yep. Right.
And we're just going to continuously make this better and better. And we hope you kind of just join us for the journey.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for episode 3, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. So I think that wraps us up for today for episode 2. Again, reach us out at businesspodcastshow.com. I think we have the email currently set up, so we'll shoot that out for podcast 3.
Yep.
On our episode 3. But yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, man, it's a wrap.
Yes, sir.